each year as summer gives way to the first days of autumn. The thoughts of many people, both young and old, turn to Halloween. For them, the holiday is not a singular event to be celebrated on the last day of October by taking a sheet from the bed and cutting holes for the eyes and wearing it on a march through the neighborhood with a paper sack to pry treats from kind-hearted neighbors. No, indeed, to the true celebrants, Halloween is not a single day or night, but a whole season that starts sometime around the 1st of September and continues until the jack-o'-lantern is replaced by a Christmas tree. To these people, goblins and ghosts are celebrated friends. But not werewolves. Even the most ardent fans of Halloween fear the werewolf. And rightly so. Many so-called werewolves were actually serial killers. The tradition goes back exactly 600 years ago to the autumnal season of the year 1521, when Pierre Bourgeot and Michael Verdun swore allegiance to the devil.
The Court of Inquisition is now in session. Peter Bourgeot. Michael Verdun. The people charge you with witchcraft, murder, and beastly unspeakable acts. We have heard the testimony of a score of witnesses. You are guilty, beyond doubt. Before I pass sentence upon you, you may speak. What say you, Michael Verdun?
I got nothing to say. Nothing.
Michael Verdun, you are guilty of the brutal murders of at least 11 people. You are sentenced to be burned at the stake until nothing remains of your mortal person but ashes. Now, Peter Bourgeot, what say you?
What say I? 20 years before I was captured, was a sheep herder, a humble sheep herder. And one night during a fierce thunderstorm, 3 horrible demons riding black horses rode into my field. In the dark night their eyes blazed like a roaring fire. They spoke in a whisper that was louder than the thunder that boomed through the hills, accompanied by crooked daggers of lightning. The demons told me if I would serve them as masters and renounce all things good and holy, I would have extraordinary abilities and power, a massive flock of sheep, and great wealth. I agreed to their terms and became a vile practitioner of horrible, filthy deeds of increasingly evil proportion. Things got even more perverse a few weeks later when Michael Verdun and I attended a witch's Sabbath. Gruesome, gnarled witches and gaunt, wasted warlocks circled around us like hungry wolves. They removed our clothes and we stood silently while the misshapen witches and the warlocks spread some sort of an oil, an ointment, all over our bodies. After a moment, I had a tingling sensation all over. that was followed by an intense itching which was so vivid I was ready to scratch myself to the bone. But before I could do so, the itching abated and pimples sprung up all over my skin. From the bottom of my feet to the top of my head, not long after, coarse, thick hair sprang up through the pimples. The brutish hair was almost as strong as a needle, and just as sharp and pointy at the ends. Michael Verdun also morphed into a hairy, vicious creature. Our arms grew longer, and our back stretched out by a length of 20 inches or more. And our teeth became long and pointed. We dropped to the ground on all fours and ran through the woods. No longer human, we now were wolves, though much larger than the natural beasts. In our wolf forms for 2 decades we pursued, attacked, and killed adults, children, and a wide variety of domesticated pets, including, but not limited to, cats, dogs, and small birds. How's that for my statement?
As you heard, Bergeau and Verdun were finally caught, tried, and convicted. The sentence was death at the burning stake. This was believed to be the only way to permanently extinguish the evil force that inhabited the bodies of the 2 killers. They did not die quickly or quietly, but they did die. And not once in the last 600 years have they reappeared. Sadly, others, just as evil, have come along. Giles Garnier, known as the Werewolf of Dole, was another monster from about the same time period. He too claimed that he had an ointment that changed him into a wolf. He too killed many people and was finally caught and burned at the stake. After being reduced to a pile of ashes, the Werewolf of Dole never returned. Whether these 3, Bergeau, Verdun, and Garnier, were mentally ill, acted under the influence of a hallucinogenic substance, or were simply cold-blooded killers, is open to debate. But the truth is, it did not matter to the people of past centuries, because it was their belief that such hateful crimes could only be committed by a horrific beast, such as the werewolf.
The most notorious werewolf of all time is Peter Stubb. He was once a peaceful farmer in Bedburg, a small town in Germany, near the Belgian border. But after acquiring a certain device, he gained the power to transform into a nearly invincible, murderous, hairy creature. During the night, Peter Stubb became a sharp-toothed, hairy wolf, and attacked and killed many citizens of the town. After killing his victims, Peter Stubb devoured them, just as if they were juicy slabs of steak or ham. A group of hunters reported seeing him as a wolf. They spotted him as he attacked and killed a blacksmith. After consuming about half of the bloody remains, the hunters said he shape-shifted back into his human form. As a human, he was in his vulnerable state and they were able to capture him. Before they executed Peter Stubb, the hunters tortured him, and he admitted his crimes of killing household pets, men, women, and children, and then eating their remains. Under the torture, Peter Stubb said that the secret of his powers to transform into a wolf lay in a special belt that he had. The belt was white, with black stones attached to it at regular intervals. Even in the darkest night, the belt glows with a cold light, just like a full moon. Anyone who wears the belt will possess the ability to morph into a wolf. when the hunters dragged Peter Stubb to the stake, to burn him to death. They tried to remove the mystical belt. But, they found, that somehow, the evil Peter Stubb, took off the belt, and disposed of it, at some unknown location. After they burned him at the stake, they looked for the belt. But it was never found. Or if it was, whoever found it, is keeping it a secret. No one knows who owns the belt today, or exactly where it is. But, rumor has it, that it might be in an abandoned house, in your town. If you are out on Halloween night, or any night, while you are strolling on the sidewalk, if you happen to see someone wearing a white belt that glows, run away very fast. Or, alternately, have a burning stake handy, and throw it at the white belt, as hard as you can.
It might be a man. It could be a woman. It might even be a child. Whoever it is. If you see someone walking towards you this Halloween, wearing a glowing white belt, get away as fast as you can. Well, as Bugs Bunny used to say, that's all folks. This is Melanie Main, saying thanks for tuning in to Bill Russo's Short Story Theatre. Come back anytime. There's always a free ticket waiting for you at the box office, in the little theatre, just off Main Street. One more thing. Tune in again. Real soon. Won't you?